The jury reached a verdict for 2 of the officers charged in Elijah McClain's death yesterday, and there's still 2 more trials to go.
Legal analyst Whitney Traylor joins us this afternoon and to kind of break down some of the things we learned with the verdict yesterday. So the defense didn't call any witnesses, including the defendants themselves. Did that surprise you? And how do you think they came to that decision?
That's a great question, and it did surprise me and it didn't, and I think it was probably a game time decision because remember, the prosecution has the burden of proof, and that's a very high burden beyond a reasonable doubt, and so they have to show the burden is on them. So a lot of times the defense will say, we don't think they met their burden. They'll actually make a motion actually to get the case dismissed, saying they didn't meet their burden. If that doesn't pass, then they will put on their case. But in this case, they felt like, and the other reason it could have been is that it could have been they didn't want to subject their clients to a really tough cross-examination. You can prepare your clients, but you just don't know what's going to happen on the stand, and so they may have had some concern about that as well. So it's not necessarily surprising. We have a Fifth Amendment right to not, testify in our own defense, so that's what they chose. And in this case, I guess it worked for one of them, and for the other, it didn't. There was a not guilty and a guilty, so.
Well, I mean, I think you could say that it worked for both of them, because I think what people are kind of missing here is that Roedema, was he charged guilty? Yes, on 2 accounts, but these are much lesser charges. I mean, the maximum sentence in Colorado is 6 years, and he's eligible for probation, right? Like no record, former police officer, and that's my question to you. I think it's a question a lot of us have when we look at sentencing coming down on January 5th. What are we looking at? Will he see jail time?
It's tough to say, and you did kind of lay out the parameters, and with the assault, there's also the 364 days, so I guess it could be essentially almost 7 years, and the presumptive time is 1 to 3 years, and so some people are saying, yes, this doesn't seem fair, but under the circumstances, you have to consider that the strength of the case, and the prosecutors added those lesser included charges later, which is good because that's what they were charged with. He was ultimately found liable for was a criminally negligent homicide, and so that's some people are concerned about that, but because of the ketamine, because of the ability to create reasonable doubt as to who was the cause of the death, that may be why they brought those lesser charges as well.
It can be impossible to read a jury's mind, but people are always really curious at the length of time a jury deliberates. In this particular case, it was 2 days, about 2 days. What do we read anything into that? Are we surprised by that? Did you expect longer, shorter?
Well, there was a lot of evidence presented, and you have to understand the jury is made up of lay people, and so they're coming into a very intense, publicized situation, and they're being hit with all of this detailed medical, technical information. So I think they had to sift through that, so that would have taken some time. And then you also have to remember it has to be a unanimous verdict, so there could have been, it could have been the even split or just 1 or 2 people holding out. So sometimes it takes some persuasion, but I think they probably spent that time going through the evidence because it was substantial.
Yeah, one more question quickly before we go. I'm curious with the split verdict, and we have 2 important trials coming up. I mean, they were looking at jurors today, so this one against Nathan Woodyard, starts next week. Brand new jury, we know, but what kind of implications will this trial that we just witnessed happen with these next 2?
Well, the defense counsel now has a playbook. I mean, they just saw how this played out, what worked, what didn't work. I mean, you're watching this trial, and this is the whole point of a jury trial, is that you get to watch these witnesses and judge their credibility. So now a lot of these same witnesses will be witnesses in this case. So they will see how they performed. They'll have a transcript of everything that was said, so they can use that to impeach them. So it's going to be, I think, an advantage to the defense to see how this thing played out and what worked. You may see more defendants not testifying as well.
Yep, and then for clarity, right, with this trial, they didn't know, the jurors weren't told that Woodyard is going to be charged, that paramedics are going to be charged, so is the assumption that this jury isn't going to know that these 2 others had the split verdict? Well,
that's going to be a difficult issue because everybody knows this verdict, so, and that's going to really be difficult in finding an unbiased jury as well, because now this has gotten so much publicity, and now there's actual case law, if you will. There's actually been a verdict, so it's going to be difficult to find an unbiased jury. But they will have to. And I was actually surprised on this trial that the jury selection went as quickly as it did, because I thought there would be people who said, look, I've already made up my mind. I don't think I can come in and be unbiased. We'll see if that happens in these next three.
Yeah. Whitney Traylor, thank you very much.
All right, good to be here.